You're enjoying Morning Cheer with Jerry Williams and Teresa Daly on 104.9 WIHS.
Well, folks, she is back. Suzanne Sorensen, 20 years of senior care experience. She's we're in the midst of a 3-part series. Last week, you might have caught it. Some might have caught it. Some may have not. If you haven't, you can always go to YouTube and check out part 1. And last week, she talked about signs of what to look for for dementia, the clues, prescription drugs. Today, she's going to be touching on safeguarding the home. Suzanne, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. It's so happy to meet you.
Cracker here. Nice to finally meet Teresa. I've met Jerry before, but I'm blessed again to be able to be here. So thank you.
Well, God bless you. It's just truly, I can relate to a lot of what you're going to say today. So I'm going to sit back and just listen and glean from your expertise.
So thank you. Last week I covered, I don't know if it's going to be on YouTube or we have to get a recording because it wasn't live last week. So I do want to get recordings for those that missed that. What I touched about last week was, as an adult child or children, my family went through the fact of denial, not knowing what my mother was going through with my dad having dementia. As things progressed worse, him losing his job, he started to hallucinate, he started to wander. He started to get aggressive, waking her up all the time. We didn't see that because Dad was great on the phone. It was always like, oh, he's fine, he's fine, he's fine. So that's why I called it Denial is Not the River of Egypt, because as adult children, if you're not there all the time, you're not seeing the things that happen on a day-to-day basis that a spouse or somebody that lives with somebody that has started that progression of memory loss may be doing. So the behaviors start to change. The routines start to change. So my mother would say, well, you don't understand. He's taking a knife and he's slicing napkins, or he's starting to make coffee without the water in the coffee maker, or he's going into the garage, but he's playing with electrical, So how does a spouse or a child redirect that behavior without getting somebody really mad at him is another thing I want to talk real quick about today. So having her go through that transition to where it was no longer for him to be safe at home, we did have to put things into place. And one of the things that didn't work was an aid, which we tried. But when you have somebody that's very upset and very mad, and they understand that they have dementia and they're going through it, it can make them even madder, because it's very frustrating when somebody says, well, why are you doing that? Why don't you do this? And don't you remember? And then that frustration grows, so that aggressiveness can go a little bit bigger than you want it to go. So Dad, for his safety, because of his wandering out in the desert area, we had to move him into a community. My mother had a different type of dementia. So hers wasn't Alzheimer's per se, it was vascular. And I called her the happy dementia. But there was things we had to put in to safeguard her for staying at home, because she was no longer able to live by herself. So a few of the things I want to talk about is, how do you take away the car, which we had to do for both parents. So first, with Dad's situation, he had a little red sports car. And you try to take that red sports car away with his little choo-choo hat on, and say he can no longer drive that car. Good luck. It was a trial and definitely difficult for my mother, because we were in California. She was in California. We were in Connecticut. And she's trying to take the car away from my dad. And I finally said, you got to disconnect the battery. You got to hide the keys, disconnect the battery. So he would try to get my mom's keys and try to take her car. So the hide the keys situation happened. Later with my mom, I used the excuse and said, Mom, when her dementia started to progress, if you can pass the test with the auto club, we're going to take you to the auto club or a driving school. And if you can pass that test today and you can reverse the car, you can park, you can parallel, you can make a right and left-hand turn okay, then you can keep driving, because at that point it was an advanced dementia. But unfortunately, with her dementia, she would forget to do certain things or just get busy and fall. So her vascular dementia led her down a different path of, now what do we do about safeguarding the house for her to stay home safely as this progression changes? What can we put in place? So some of the things that we did is put a grab bars in the house everywhere. So Mom would fall, and she'd fall down to the floor, but there's no grab bar on the floor. How are you going to pick yourself up
You need
off
that
the floor
to push
when you
yourself
don't have
up.
the upper body strength? So I had grab bars, believe it or not, like, 2.5 feet from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then we put long grab bars in the hallway because we know them as wall walkers. When dementia starts coming through or your body starts to break down, you don't have the strength to do what you used to do. So putting grab bars even in a hallway, like a long grab bar, not just a little grab bar, into the garage, having a grab bar, into the shower, a grab bar. The other thing I absolutely recommend if somebody's still in that position where they're safe to stay at home is do a fall detection system, which they call it the life alert. I've fallen and I can't get up, one of those things. Well, guess what? The fallen and I can't get up didn't work for my mother for the first 2 types because she'd have to push the button. Until we got a true fall detection system, when my mom hit the ground, it called. So we had a key that was outside the house hidden. The company knew where the key was, and they can go in and rescue her because my mother would hear in the background, "Tony, do you need some help?"
That's what was my question.
So
how are
Tony
they
would
going to
say
know
yes.
to push the button?
They don't have to push the button. So the problem was the other things just weren't working because she just didn't wear them. But this one, she understood she had to keep it on. They do have wrists, and then they have necklaces. And they're waterproof, so you can wear them in the shower because a lot of injuries
Could
happen
fall
in the
in
shower.
the shower.
Right. So sure enough, my mother had been in the backyard, hit a rose bush with her foot, kicked it, broke her shoulder. Needed shoulder replacement. I get her out of rehab because every time you're under anesthesia with memory loss, it pushes it further. It makes it harder to recover. So you'll see sometimes the escalation of the memory loss going faster than you thought. So get her home from the rehab. The next thing I do, I'm visiting her, out there in California. I turn around after a month in rehab, get her to try to make her coffee. I turn around and all of a sudden, boom, she hits the floor. Back on her back, compression back fracture. So the system, because she had her fall detection system on, said, "Tony, do you need help?" I'm like, "Yes, call an ambulance," because I'm there on the ground with her and I'm not touching her. So
You got to get a
we got
sister
her up.
lift.
Yeah, so we got her up, back to rehab, compression back fracture, another couple weeks. Next thing you know, I've got an aid in place at this point because I could not handle this alone, dealing from out of state. So the task of finding an aid, that's another story we're going to get into next week. How do you get the right help and when is it time to make the move? But we had an aid in place at that point to help her to get to doctor appointments, to bring in help into the house. So the other thing that helped that aid, help mom stay safe in the house, was what's called a bed alert. And people go, "What's a bed alert?" So when you go to the hospital, they could put a bed alert under your butt to make sure that you're not moving. When you start to move, they know you're trying to get out of your bed. And a lot of times they what's called park a patient in a rehab or hospital close to the nurse's station because they know that they could be a wander or a get up and I'm going to fall and nobody sees me kind of patient. So we did what's called bed alerts. They're thin little pieces of plastic that has a little alert inside, a little alarm, and then you've got a monitor. So the monitor stays wherever the aider or the caregiver is. Mm-hmm. But as soon as mom started to shimmy her little behind, beep, 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 and then the aide would go into the monitor, "Tony, sit back down. Yeah. Tony, sit down." Because even if Cindy was in the shower, Cindy was required to open the shower door because she was taking her 3 hours. She was working 3 days straight. And then I had a second aide 3 days straight and a third 1 day. So Cindy, when you're taking a shower, that door's got to stay open. So I need you to watch that camera because when you hear mom move, you got to see what she's doing. So Tony, sit down. Tony would sit down. So that works. The other thing that bed alert does at night to help out, because we had 2 bed alerts, is we had one under her butt in the bed. So when because mom liked to get up to go to the bathroom every night, right? Well, that's another thing I'm going to suggest is you cut off the liquids at 7:00 p.m. Because once you start drinking...
This way, they don't have that urge to go to the bathroom.
The urge to go. So mom always had that urge to go. So I said, no more. I said, it sounds cruel, but she wants to wet her whistle. You put a little drop of water next to her nightstand, and she could wet her whistle. So that helped on decreasing the getting up at night. But even if she did get up, Cindy could hear that bed alert go beep, 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 and Cindy's in the other room, and she's running to Mom. So she's got enough time pretty much to get over there and help her and go, wait, Tony, you know, and she's running in there. So bed alerts are a huge help. Again,
how expensive are these things?
$30. $30.
Okay.
Like $32 on Amazon.
That's a major start to move. We have movement. We have movement.
Yes. Incoming.
The train is moving.
Okay.
And then the other thing
That's
is,
funny.
you know, between the camera and the monitor is really important because when Cindy would do the laundry, at least she can still keep an eye on my mom.
That's true.
So you've got to have visual. Now, everyday technology, because as we just talked about technology, and I'm not the best, one of the things is the ring. The ring alert could be put inside the house. Who says that has to go outside your house? So you can have, as an out-of-state child, or, you know, say a spouse is divorced or whatever, and you know somebody you're still trying to keep them home and they're still safe, you could do a ring. Or you can do, ADT has in-home cameras situation. But that way, during the day, it also, there's programs that you can see how many times did your mom or dad go into the kitchen? How many times did they go in the bathroom? What is their pattern of behavior throughout the day? If they keep going in the kitchen, in and out, in and out, in and out, why? Are they hungry? Did they forget something? What are they looking for? And then sometimes you'll see somebody go into the bedroom or the bathroom, and next time you're looking, it's like they never came out, you know, and you're looking in the bedroom, what's going on? So like I was saying last week, my mother and her neighbor, when Mom was still cognitively, you know, hadn't gone through the decline, they had the mini blind rule, you know, open the mini blind, close the mini blind. So again, I say make sure somebody's checking on that loved one for you on a regular basis. If you don't have a 24-hour caregiver, somebody's off that day, maybe a neighbor can just come by and say hi. You could do, you know, a quick phone call to them. Sometimes the time change, I know, gets to be an issue. So the bed alert was a big thing. Medications, making sure you're locking them up or somebody's dispensing them. So when I help elderly couple on the weekend, I take the pill box, I hand out the 3 pills, I close the pill box, I watch them take it with the water. The pill hasn't dropped on the floor, it hasn't gone in the trash or down the seat, nobody hasn't taken their heart medicine. So making sure you either have an electronic pill monitor, somebody dispensing and refilling is very important. The rollator and walker is really important when you're safeguarding a house. A sweetheart of a lady who was with her mother yesterday, we were talking about dementia and the radio station, the program I'm on today, and we talked about, can your mother use a rollator? And it's like, no, it slides away from my mom. You know, her mother's partial blind. So certain walkers are better for certain individuals. Dementia or no dementia, just in life in general. Because the important thing is when you have a rollator and you start using it and you don't use your brakes and you try to turn around and sit on it.
They have to remember to lock them.
Oh, yeah. So
and they roll, and you could go.
My mom loved to sit on that rollator. But then every time she got up, she forgot that, you know, she'd take the brakes off before she got up and shoo, you're sliding backwards. So be cautious about the rollator. Make sure physical therapist or a doctor recommends which one to use. The silver flimsy, I call them flimsy things, but they work, or one with 4 wheels, okay? So grab bars, fall detection systems, keys, locking up the keys for the car. I wanted to touch briefly about that. Again, with my mother, she wasn't going to take the test, so the keys got taken away. The keys got hidden, not left on the keychain because Mom went in the garage, and I think I told you, went forward into the garage. So making sure the keys are hidden, very important. Also, safe return bracelets for those that do have memory loss. Alzheimer's Association, you can get a bracelet or a watch that has your return address on the back of it.
Right.
So that's crucial when, like with my dad wandering. My mother couldn't wander because she couldn't physically get out the door. So, and there's a couple other things I'll cover next week.
I remember having the knobs on the stove, the gas stove.
Oh, yeah, we had to
She
take
would
those
walk
off.
by, you know, the stove a lot, and I go, Mom, I moved the table so she'd have other chairs to hang on to, like you said.
Yep.
But she walked by the stove and turned everything on.
Oh, so did my dad. So
I
we
got
had
home
to-
in the nick of time.
Yep. So those are other things that are safeguard. The other thing I just want to tell you really quick, Alzheimer's.org has just an unbelievable list of things to learn from. So whether it's safeguarding the home, support groups, books, 101 things to do with somebody with dementia, how to keep them busy, because I could do that all day and tell you ideas. The quickest way to keep somebody busy during the day is give them a load of laundry and have them fold it, male or female. Whether they fold it or not, you take it to the other room, you dash it out, and you put it back. And they refold it again.
Amen. They refold it again.
So I'll cover a lot more next week.
Amen.
So that'll be our third-part series.
All right.
So I appreciate it.
We have been talking to Suzanne Sorensen.
I feel very validated. God bless your heart.
20 years in seniors care. And be sure to tune in next Wednesday for part 3.
Next Monday.
Monday.
You got me on Monday.
We got you
the
Monday?
29th.
We got Monday. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
Okay, Monday. Thank you, Suzanne, for reminding me.
I'm glad you
Oh,
gave
my
me a heads up. Amen.
Amen. Well, God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us. You've been a well of information and useful information, because a lot of us are going through that. I didn't have to go through it. Both of my parents died in their early 50s. But I know a lot of people. I knew firsthand from Teresa coming to work every week. Kind of stressed out and sharing with me what she's going through with her mom. So I knew this would be right in her wheelhouse that you were coming to share with us. So thank you so much.
God bless you for being here.
You're very
Next
welcome.
Monday, more Suzanne Sorensen for our third and final segment. Again, you're going to be touching on what next Monday?
Oh, it'll still be communication.
Communication.
Do's and don'ts, suggestions, and then when you need to bring in help and how you're going to do it and manage it. Because
Amen.
that alone is a whole other world of stress.
Amen. She's Suzanne Sorensen, 20 years of senior
Thank
care,
you.
825 with the Salt Mine on WIHS.
104.9 WIHS.
You're enjoying Morning Cheer with Jerry Williams and Teresa Daly on 104.9 WIHS.